Here in Nog. I'm Elizabeth, and today we're just going to take a walk through the garden. The garden is absolutely starting to blossom. It's fabulous. I love this time of year. All the work getting everything in is done, and now we get to enjoy all the fruits of our labor. So let's take a walk. I thought I'd take you on a short stroll through the garden this evening. Down here we have the pumpkins. We have a couple different kinds of pumpkins actually, and they're just starting to set fruit. So we have, these are regular pumpkins, and then the one with the runner over there, that one is a pumpkin that has hulless seeds, so the seeds you could just eat. They don't have a shell on the outside. These little guys that are kind of sad over here, those are my melons. So I started them in the greenhouse, come chicken coop, and when I planted them out, it was very hot and very dry, and they died. So I put some more seeds over here, and there they are. We do have a few of them. I don't know how many melons we'll get this year. So I have quite a few pumpkins. That's all pumpkin. And then that guy back there, you can see that one. That is a red curry squash. So this pile right here is red curry, and that one over there is also red curry. Those are my favorite. I love those. Those are almost yam-like in that the flesh is orange and very dense and slightly sweet. And so I like to grow lots of those because those are my favorite, and they're winter squash, so they keep well. They don't have any fruit set yet, except that one little guy over there. Those back there are little acorn squash, which are my mom's favorites, and I did see that there is one set on there somewhere. So we have some of those, and then in between down in here we have some radishes, which are needing to be harvested. I had to throw some to the pigs because they were getting too far gone. I meant to plant 3 zucchini. Somehow I got 4. So we have lots of little baby zucchini. I like to eat them just about now, right about the time the blossom withers and falls off is when I eat them, unless they get away from me and I miss them. So those are really doing well. I was super excited to have zucchini because I miss being able to just go out and pluck one off the bush and slice it and eat it. So then we have some corn over here. The corn, interestingly enough, it's all sweet corn, of course, but there's 2 different varieties. This variety back here is a later variety by about a week and a half from this variety. And when I planted them, I didn't get the row in front in quite at the same time. I waited a couple of days, and it began to rain super hard. And so when I put the bottom row in down here, they rotted. All the seeds rotted. So I planted those again. So we did have a really weird beginning of our season. The strawberries got cooked. Not before we got some. We did get some strawberries. There's a little bit of garlic right here, not too much, a few pieces. And then the onions I did sets, thinking that would give me a jump start since I got the garden in so late, but they did not do well at all, so I do not have very many. Those are Walla Walla sweets, which we like a lot. Over here we have bush beans. This first row right here, first 2 rows, which didn't do very well because, again, I planted them and it rained and they drowned, are pinto beans. So those will be dried beans. And those will just stay there until about September when the plant has died, and then I will pull the whole plant out and shell the beans. And these are purple bush beans, which I really like. The flowers are purple, the beans are purple. I have 3 rows of these. And I plant both bush beans and pole beans. The pole beans are back in the far back because they have different rates that they grow, and so the bush beans are ready earlier, and we can start eating bush beans right very shortly, like they are, I think, 56 days, whereas the pole beans take longer by at least a couple of weeks. And since I can them, I like to have that longer period of time where we can start canning the bush beans and eating them. And then as time goes on and the pole beans become ready to pick, then we can work on those too. And the pole beans are very prolific, so we'll end up with lots of those. And then we have some carrots and some beets. And I planted a lot of beets. I will can a few beets. The carrots will eat as fast as they get ready. I do tend to leave some in the ground and harvest throughout the late fall. So I will have carrots. Usually we have carrots up almost until Christmas, although in this new environment, I'm not too sure how late in the season we'll be able to harvest because I don't know how much snow we'll have. In between is a row of leeks. There's some leeks up in there. I only did a half a row. I should have done the whole row. My lettuce didn't come up very well, but there is some lettuce. There's a red lettuce, and then there's a butter crunch. In front of that is the spinach, which is just about to bolt. I have been starting to pull some of that and feed it to the pigs because I can't pick it fast enough. Up here is the Swiss chard, which works for us like spinach all through the summer and into the fall. It will stay good until it freezes. And then sometimes it will come back in the spring and we can have it early in the spring. Behind me, I have the brassicas. And so we do have both broccoli and cabbage. And I just planted them all together because they're in the same family. I didn't get very many broccoli. I did get quite a few cabbage, really for what we probably will use them for, but those will grow, and well, the cabbage will grow through till fall, and we'll see how the broccoli does. Down here I have a tiny bit of cilantro, hardly any, just little babies are just coming. I need to plant some more, otherwise it will come up, bolt, and I won't have any more. And that right there is oregano. And then back here is some basil, which I've already been harvesting. We've been having pesto with it. It's super yum. I love growing the basil in the garden because I like to be able to just go out and pick it and make some pesto for dinner if I like, or breakfast. I like to saute vegetables, so things like the greens and the zucchini and stuff, and just throw a little pesto over it with an egg for breakfast. Then we have our tomatoes. Down here we have lots of tomatoes. I think there's about 15 plants. We grow a huge variety of tomatoes because I like them to be all different. So we have some back here. Those are a plum tomato or a Roma tomato. And most of these are all heirloom, different varieties. There's one that's right back here. Maybe we should pick it. This little guy looks like it's ready. Oh, yes, it is. Yummy, yummy. Look at that. Doesn't that look beautiful? And then there's some other ripe tomatoes back here. Ooh, maybe we'll have pico de gallo for dinner. I always plant a couple cherry tomatoes for my little dude. He's 4 and he eats cherry tomatoes. They're like a treat for him. And so this one is a yellow cherry tomato plant, and they're quite ripe. There's several that are quite ripe now. The Sweet 100 back here is not got any ripe ones, but I'm sure they'll come along. And then we have peppers, so we can make salsa. And we like to eat pico de gallo for supper during the summer as much as possible. And then I do can quite a bit. I can spaghetti sauce and tomato sauce and pico de gallo or salsa. And then in the very back we have the green beans, the pole beans, and they are starting to really take off. They have grown at least 2 feet this week, so they'll reach the top of the trellis. Well, there's one that's already at the top of the trellis. I should have made the trellis a little bit taller, but when I stand in front of it, it comes to the top of my eyeballs when I'm not inside the garden. So I figured that would probably be tall enough. I think next time I'm going to use taller poles and make it taller. So there are 2 different kinds of beans in here. I have the ones down here, which are starting to grow into the grass, not where they're supposed to be. I'll have to rectify that. Those are a French bean, and I love those. Those are super yum. And then I have down on the other end is, I think they are Kentucky Blue. And they're really good general bean for canning. And then back here in the mess, because I haven't been out here with the weed eater and I haven't been really doing a whole lot of weeding back here. I have blueberries, which we planted. Those blueberries, these little ones down here in the front were basically just a stick in a pot, and I didn't think we'd get anything out of them, and I wasn't even sure if they were going to live, but they have blueberries. And then we have a row of peas, because when it was time to plant peas, the garden was not ready. So I planted some peas, which are all falling over now, especially with the netting. We have birds like crazy out here, so many birds. And then there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blueberry bushes that I bought that I guess they had been in pots and forgotten out in a field somewhere. And so I got them at a nice discount. There's another row of peas. The little one on the very end, I'm going to show you this one because this is interesting to me. It was all sideways and looked like it was half dead, and my 4-year-old had to have that blueberry bush. He wanted it super bad, and I told him I didn't want to buy it because I didn't even think it would live. And the nice gentleman at Garden Treasures, there's this little plug for him, told Finn he could have this plant because obviously it was not in great shape. And I thought for sure it would die, but nope, it has blueberries on it. In fact, it has several really large clusters of blueberries on it. So there's those. And then down here are the raspberries. So when I moved in, there was of course nothing out here. My nice neighbor lady next door has tons of raspberries, and so she gave me a bunch of canes. So I started digging a trench and planting those, and there's nothing but rock out here. So this used to be a riverbed, and the ground is just super rocky and no dirt. So once I got through the rocks and I found some silt underneath, I added a bunch of stuff to the ground, and then so we actually have raspberries on here that are ready. And I have another friend who gave me a completely different kind of raspberry, and these are the raspberries she gave me. Now these canes are super tall and almost woody, and they do not have any thorns. There are no thorns, and there are still a few of those. We've been out here eating them today, and they are so delicious. So we have 2 different kinds. And then there's a little space left at the end because I'm hoping to get some black caps and start black caps out here because my 13-year-old loves them. Oh my God, you guys, they're so good. Anyway, so this is where we are with the garden at this point. We still need to put in the orchard out front, and that will happen before too long. I'd like to get those out of the pots. We do have cherries on one of the trees in the pot. Well, I hope you enjoyed the tour. These raspberries are so good. You guys have a great night.